Days Without Art, Thursday, December 16th, 3 a.m. A reading from The Art of Forgiveness, Lovingkindness, and Peace by Jack Kornfield. You hold in your hand an invitation to remember the transforming power of forgiveness and loving kindness, to remember that no matter where you are and what you face, within your heart, peace is possible. The teachings in this book contain age-old understanding about love. They give simple and direct practices to help cultivate its qualities in your own heart. This wisdom is essential for all who live in modern times. The words of the Buddha offer this truth. Hatred never ceases by hatred, but by love alone is healed. This is the ancient and eternal law. Often we find ourselves in conflicts that unsettle our peace of mind. We face difficult situations, and our problems can feel insurmountable. Pain, anger, and fear can arise in ourselves, in families, in business, in communities, and between nations. We would like to find a way out of this suffering. Even in the worst situations, the heart can be free. We who lived in the concentration camps can remember those who walked through the huts, comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from us but the last of human freedoms, the freedom to choose our spirit in any circumstance. Viktor Frankl. Forgiveness and compassion are not sentimental or weak. They demand courage and integrity, yet they alone can bring about the peace we long for. True love is not for the faint-hearted. Mayor Baba. Our innate wisdom knows this is true. When Buddhist texts address us as nobly born, they tell us that we are all sons and daughters of the Buddha. Do not doubt your own basic goodness. In spite of all confusion and fear, you are born with a heart that knows what is just, loving, and beautiful. In the words of a Jungian analysis, Robert A. Johnson, curiously, people resist the noble aspects of their shadow more strenuously than they hide their dark sides. It is more disrupting to find that you have a profound nobility of character than to find out that you are a bum. If we look at ourselves truthfully, we can feel the possibility of being more compassionate, more awake, more free. If it were not possible to free the heart from entanglement in greed, hate, and fear, I would not teach you to do so. The Buddha. Anger, blame, conflict, and resentment arise from our fear. When we are afraid, our body tightens, our heart is constricted, our mind is possessed. We cannot live wisely. Forgiveness releases us from the power of fear. It allows us to see with kindly eyes and rest in a wise heart. Live in joy, live in love, even among those who hate. Live in joy, live in health, even among the afflicted. Live in joy, live in peace, even among the troubled. Look within, be still, free from fear and attachment. Know the sweet joy of the way. The Buddha. How can we begin? In any moment, we can learn to let go of hatred and fear. We can rest in peace, love, and forgiveness. It is never too late. Yet, to sustain love, we need to develop practices that cultivate and strengthen the natural compassion within us. It is not enough to know that love and forgiveness are possible. We have to find ways to bring them to life. The truth is, we are not yet free. We have merely achieved the freedom to be free. Nelson Mandela. Forgiveness. Traditionally, the work of the heart begins with forgiveness. Forgiveness is the necessary ground for any healing. First, we need a wise understanding of forgiveness. Then we can learn how it is practiced, how we may forgive both ourselves and others. Forgiveness is a letting go of past suffering and betrayal, a release of the burden of pain and hate that we carry. Forgiveness honors the heart's greatest dignity. Whenever we are lost, it brings us back to the ground of love. With forgiveness, we become unwilling to attack or wish to harm another. Whenever we forgive, in small ways at home or in great ways between nations, we free ourselves from the past. It is hard to imagine a world without forgiveness. Without forgiveness, life would be unbearable. Without forgiveness, our lives are chained, forced to carry the sufferings of the past and repeat them with no release. Consider the dialogue between two former prisoners of war. Have you forgiven your captors yet? No, never. Well, then, they still have you in prison, don't they? We begin the work of forgiveness primarily for ourselves. We may still be suffering terribly from the past, while those who betrayed us are on vacation. It is painful to hate. Without forgiveness, we continue to perpetuate the illusion that hate can heal our pain and the pain of others. In forgiveness, we let go and find relief in our heart. Even those in the worst situations, the conflicts and tragedies of Bosnia, Cambodia, Rwanda, Northern Ireland, or South Africa, have had to find a path to reconciliation. This is true in America as well. It is the only way to heal. Sometimes this means finding the courage to forgive the unforgivable, to consciously release the heart from the clutches of another's terrible acts. We must discover a way to move on from the past, no matter what trauma it held. The past is over. Forgiveness means giving up all hope of a better past. Sometimes strong action may be needed for our defense. Let this be done with compassion, or our own hatred will poison the response. We can meet the tragedies of the world with what Gandhi called soul force. If you want to see the heroic, look at those who can love in return for hatred. If you want to see the brave, look for those who can forgive. Bhagavad Gita. Remember these truths. Forgiveness is not weak or naive. Forgiveness requires courage and clarity. It is not naive. Mistakenly, people believe that to forgive is to simply forgive and forget once and for all. This is not the wisdom of forgiveness. Forgiveness does not happen quickly. For great injustice, coming to forgiveness may include a long process of grief, outrage, sadness, loss, and pain. True forgiveness does not paper over what has happened in a superficial way. It is not a misguided effort to suppress or ignore our pain. It cannot be hurried. It is a deep process, repeated over and over in our heart, which honors the grief and betrayal, and its own time ripens into the freedom to truly forgive. Forgiveness does not forget, nor does it condone the past. Forgiveness sees wisely. It willingly acknowledges what is unjust, harmful, and wrong. It bravely recognizes the sufferings of the past and understands the conditions that brought them about. There is a strength to forgiveness. When we forgive, we can also say, "Never again will I allow these things to happen." We may resolve to never again permit such harm to come to ourselves or to another. Forgiveness does not mean that we have to continue to relate to those who have done us harm. In some cases, the best practice may be to end our connection, to never speak to or be with a harmful person again. Sometimes, in the process of forgiveness, a person who hurt or betrayed us may wish to make amends, but even this does not require us to put ourselves in the way of further harm. In the end, forgiveness simply means never putting another person out of our heart. If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we should see sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Finding a way to extend forgiveness to ourselves is one of our most essential tasks. Just as others have been caught in suffering, so have we. If we look honestly at our life, we can see the sorrows and pain that have led to our own wrongdoing. In this, we can finally extend forgiveness to ourselves. We can hold the pain we have caused in compassion. Without such mercy, we will live our own life in exile.